Let's talk about where your trails come from and no dig, no ride, and why I think this is more important than arguing about e-bikes, more important about arguing about wheel size, and just as important as your fitness, because if there's no trails, you can't ride. Now this episode is going to get better and better as I go, because I'm just going to drink more and more coffee. So first of all, what is no dig, no ride?
I think that no dig, no ride stems from an era in which building jumps specifically was done illegally on privately owned land in the era before we had all these wonderful bike parks to go to and pump tracks and serving as community meeting spaces basically at this point. So the idea being that if you were going to ride a set of jumps that was illegally placed on someone else's land, you had to participate in the digging. And I think that it was for two reasons. The primary being you have to put effort into something that you want to use and be part of that community. And two, it implicates you in the illegal activities. So it's sort of a barrier to entry. Are you willing and able to take this risk and participate in this illegal activity in order to enjoy the benefits of it? And I remember being a kid and seeing some physical altercations over this kind of stuff because people would show up and ride people's jumps without participating, without helping, without digging, and it came to fist fights at points, and people would get I guess disciplined is the word I would choose. And generally after one of those, they would never do it again. But yeah, it's I don't think we see that too much anymore. There's a lot more community involvement in jump spots. I am sure that illegal jump trails still exist. In fact, I know they do. And I'm sure that no dig, no ride is still happening all over the place, but less and less frequent at this point because the sport has made jumps way more accessible, way more common, probably way safer than they used to be.
Now, if you dig and if you work on trails yourself, or if you are a big contributor to the community, share this video now. We need to build some momentum because mountain biking has exploded. There's millions more people doing it, and not nearly as many people contributing because they're coming in just by buying a bike, showing up at the trails and wrecking themselves. So if you don't, you're going to hang to the end of this episode, not only because I have more and more caffeine, but because I'm going to show you how to get involved and how to make it a little bit less intimidating, because when you look at all the work that goes into these things, it can be a little bit like, well, how could I do that? I'll give you a little bit of tips on that. I want to talk about the first thing. How much does it cost, money-wise, to build mountain bike trails in general? And I think you're going to be a little surprised. I was shocked to find this out because when I got into mountain biking, the very first feature we built, we used a railroad tie that my buddy, Brian, his name means strength, of course, so he's got to live up to his name. I think he carried a railroad tie like a mile on his back. And I think he and my friend Mike did that with one or two railroad ties and brought it like a mile up a mountain, and we put it down and made like a 2-foot drop with these railroad ties. And that was the very first feature that we ever hit on a mountain bike, and that was trail building for us. It was about as scrappy as you can get, and it's a lot of fun. So when someone told me that it cost $100,000 to $300,000 or more just to build a mile of single track, I was pretty blown away. And even further, we built trails that were, we had a 40-foot wall ride. We had about 7 or 8 jumps that were anywhere from 15 to 32 feet long. We had a road gap. We had a pretty technical drop that we built. And I think the total budget for the whole thing was probably under $10,000, which is absurd. The cost to clear land would be $30,000 to $50,000 just in the same area. So this isn't a video about the energy and creativity of college kids, but I do want to throw down and say thank you to all my riding friends who made that trail possible, because I probably wouldn't have gotten hooked on mountain biking and you wouldn't be watching this video. So thank you guys. So it's really, really expensive. So another thing that's kind of a fun fact is, let's look at a bike park. So if you've ever seen one of those bike parks where it's kind of a contained area where you've got your dirt jumps over here, your pump track over there, you've got your dog park over here. Yeah, they're pretty sweet. I've always liked the idea of a bike park. I think they're cool. And it's a great place for developing beginner to intermediate skills. And sometimes they build them pretty advanced, but it's just a great place for progression because you can see everything and you can walk and you can session and try things over and over again. And those things, I took a look at the plans for Valmont Bike Park. So shout out to Valmont Bike Park, probably one of the first really good, really big bike parks that wasn't in Whistler. And we're talking in the $2 to $10 million range just to get a basic bike park set up and running. Oh, and one thing too, if you want to go deeper on this, I interviewed Cam Zink's head trail builder for Census Rad Trails. His name is Cody Wilkins. Did this a little while back. You probably want to check out that podcast. I'll put a link to that podcast episode down below. And yeah, it's got some pretty good information if you want to get involved in trail building and just kind of seeing what it's like from someone who literally builds trails all day, every day. And he's not just going in and taking the dirt and turning it into a boring path. He's like making some cool trails. So now you may be thinking like, good gracious dude, like why hundreds of thousands of dollars per mile? Why millions of dollars for basically just dirt that sits outside? How could it cost that much? And I'm a little bit with you. I do think, you know, I mean, looking at this right here, my pump track in my backyard, I purchased an excavator to move dirt faster. I could do this by hand. I've done stuff like this by hand before, and it's about $300 if you do it by hand, but it also can take years and I don't have time for that. So minus the excavator, yeah, I kind of get it. It's like, well, if you just know how to move dirt, then why is it so expensive? Well, one, because when you build an official bike park that is properly built by professionals and all that stuff, we're talking about, you've got planning and design. And this is some of the feedback I got on my last episode where I talked about the rise and fall of mountain biking, which is really just, I tried to make it like a history lesson and here's kind of where we are in the arc of things. I talked a little bit about mountain biking losing its soul and like the type of trails out there. So the planning and the design of a trail has a lot to do with the community and a lot to do with land ownership. And so this is a very important point. If you are on the East Coast, and you can look this up, most land on the East Coast is privately owned. And most land, like kind of middle of the country and out that away, that would actually be the East. I'm literally pointing east. So California, you are that way. Hello, California. Hello, Oregon. Hello, coasty people. That away, there's a lot of public land. And so the type of interaction you need to do with land ownership dictates a lot of the personality of the biking, the personality of the trail advocacy groups. Here on the East Coast, a lot of times we just partner up with people that own private land and they just happen to be mountain bikers and it's like, cool, just don't mess it up. And it's pretty sweet. The downside of that though is that a lot of the trails kind of get dumbed down and they're not really as epic as the ones out on the West Coast. So just give or take, I do think there's some pretty sweet trails on some private land here on the East Coast. I'll give a shout out to Big Creek in Roswell, Georgia. Big shout out to Jared's Place down in Georgia. Big shout out to Canoga, Rock Creek, that's Nico Mullally, and I think his name is Dave Lamond, is the financier of the organization over there. They do a great job. The trail crews over there are phenomenal as well. And another thing is that when you have these groups going in and building, you have environmental impact, right? You have to do environmental impact studies. They bring in these people. I don't know what they do because again, I'm a renegade. I'm like, dude, that looks sweet. We should build it. We should hit it. And then like nobody's hurt. You know, the birds make more nests in the trees because they're like, wow, that's rad. I want to watch. So I actually don't know what goes into an environmental impact study. So if you do those things, put a comment below. Let me know what you do. I'd love to talk about it a little bit more. There's permits and negotiations. So this one I see some decent benefits to because when you do have an agreement and permits and negotiation, you can make a trail official. And if the trail is built well to a standard, then you can get a pretty good trail that's public access without any risk of it getting torn down. So the biggest risk of actually sick trails, like I'm talking about like really, really sick trails, is that they get torn down all the time because some renegade knucklehead like me and my friends came in and said, dude, let's build this sender over this road. It's like, safety standards be damned. Like, what is OSHA? What is that, like next to the ocean? Is it like short for the ocean? Like that's, yeah. So having, in the grand scheme of mountain biking, having some standards and some like thought put into that is a really good thing, I admit. So permits and negotiation, hundreds of thousands of dollars, years of negotiation, heavy equipment, rentals and ownership. My excavator is, I think, $38,000, and I got one little mini excavator. My tractor is $23,000. Just imagine an actual trail crew with a full, you know, like 1 or 2 excavators plus some other equipment. It can get in the hundreds of thousands of dollars really quickly. And liability insurance, operating expenses, these are like thousands of dollars to operate just to get it off the ground. Then you've got maintenance. Maintenance is incredibly underlooked, and this is where I think that you can have the biggest impact. I went to other places. I've been out to Paris Mountain near where I live, and I don't know how many hundreds of hours I put in volunteer hours. I just show up and say, hey, can I move some dirt for you guys? Can I pack some stuff for you guys? And I've done it all by hand. I haven't done any machines yet. But that's the kind of thing you can do to help lower the cost of this, plus you learn the trail better. It's pretty sweet. Another thing too is what goes into making this so expensive is dealing with angry hikers and equestrians. These people, the angry ones, I don't know where they come from and what their problem is. And here's where everyone's gonna complain. Like my 3 hikers that stumbled on this video are gonna be like, wow, you guys suck. It's like, no, we don't. We're awesome. We're building cool stuff. Go away. You're just angry. Sorry. So look, the reason why bikes, it really is so expensive if you want public trails is because in order to make it really, really good, it needs to be really, really good for everybody. And there needs to be standards. There needs to be these things in place. And I think that I will go, you know, like, let me add a little bit of my own thoughts here. I think personally, real mountain biking, the like pure heart and soul mountain biking, not just getting out on a bike and riding on a paved path, basically, it's just gone deeper into the woods. And this is not my idea. My friend Sam and I were talking about this, and he just said, hey man, I watched your video on the rise and fall of mountain biking. I don't think it's dying at all. He said, I think it's just gone deeper into the woods. Why? Because that's where the builders can really build their stuff. And the people that are going deeper into the woods to build more secluded, less accessible stuff to the masses are able to kind of build their own thing, build it right, take their time, send it, and most importantly, they can create in a way that allows them to express themselves. This is something that I think a lot of trail building kind of loses, and it's a balance. I'm not picking on anyone here. If you go deeper into the woods, you gain autonomy, you have less people in your ear telling you what to do, and if you're building legally on some land deep in the woods, you can find features that you might not otherwise find right next to the road. So, good times. Now, what do you get if you show up to build? If you show up to throw a shovel, you throw up to throw up. What are the benefits that you get if you choose to show up and dig and ride? Benefit number 1, I would say you become a better rider. And the reason why is because it's the same thing as handwriting. If you're going to be a really good, reflective, creative writer, not rider like a bike, but writer like pen and paper, then if you physically slow your body down and force yourself to think about every word as you draw it out by hand, you actually create better works of art. And so, getting thirsty again. Promise you guys one thing, and that would be more caffeine throughout the episode. So here we go. When you build a trail, it forces you to slow down and not just think about the trail in front of you, but it forces you to really think about, okay, how will the shape of this dirt or the placement of this rock or the removal of this root or cutting deeper into the side of trail, like how will it affect erosion? How will this affect the flow of the trail? How will this set you up for the next feature? How will this give you more or less speed? How does this work towards the overall feel of the trail? All of these things, if you stop and think about them, off the bike, then it's going to make it a whole lot easier to create in your mind this, you know, the ride happens in your mind, and you can create it in your mind before you ever even touch the bike. And this is something that trail builders have that you just cannot get any way else other than picking up a shovel. And I know it doesn't look like I pick up shovels. I've got the Imperial degree hands. They don't look like tough or anything, but yeah, I do pick up shovels. Yeah, this is the only way to get that level of being in tune with the trail is to like put a shovel down, shape the trail, think about it, experience it, try new things, try different things. The best situation is when you're with another rider on a trail that you guys have full autonomy over. In other words, you're not just building to spec and trying to dumb it down. You're trying to create something like a, you know, like a kicker or a jump, or even a technical trail, like something where you're doing very little work, but you're just raking and riding and you're picking away down the mountain where it's extremely raw. These are all things you can, again, only get by showing up and putting your hands on the shovel, on the pickaxe, and getting after it. So do it. I think benefit number 2, I don't remember what it is, but I think it is, you get respect. So when mountain biking isn't all about respect, but if you go and you contribute to the trails, you show up, you put a shovel down, and you make it a priority to protect the trails that you're on and contribute to those, then it really is, it's kind of like a club in a way, because again, if you are like a rite of passage, the only way to, like there was this guy who, no joke, had to kill a tiger in his tribe. I went to college with a guy, I forgot his name, and we were the Clemson Tigers, right? And so we're there, we're talking to this dude, and I'm like, wow, you're a pretty interesting fellow, like what's your story, where you're from? And he's like, oh yeah, you know, my tribe. And I'm like, dude, you got a tribe? Like, tell me more, this is sick. Come to find out, this guy like had to kill a tiger or something. I don't know if it was made up, but I don't know if it was made up. I don't know, I really don't know. So like all you angry PETA people in the comments, just go away. I don't know if it was a true story. Anyways, the point is that he had this rite of passage where his people that he respected him because he did something that only you can do if you go out and kill a tiger, metaphorically or physically or not. I don't know. So go to the trail and build, and you will get respect because you will have an understanding. That's really what it's about. It's not about freaking violence against animals. But yeah, it is all about feeling that creativity of being out on the trails. So that's that. Now, here's one that I think is my favorite, and the third benefit of getting out and building on the trails and digging is you get to experience harmony. And I mean it in the most literal sense. Now, I'm a capitalist. I've built businesses. I love freedom and choice and being able to produce my own things, and I love it when other people create things. I love that freedom of creativity. However, a lot of times greed in capitalism, because greed is a value, right? It's like a negative, a bad value. And when greed gets into capitalism, it really it just makes the water murky. And one of the main costs of greed is a lack of harmony, okay? And so I am also like a huge tree hugger. I'm just like, dude, this tree needs to be protected. Why? Because it's there. It's grown for 100, 150 years. I've got a handful of those trees in my yard, and harmony is super important. And it's not just so we can be one with nature, it's because that's how we were designed to be. Like, we live on a place that is given to us, that we are responsible for, that we do not just get to extract 100% of the value out of it and walk away. It gives something back to us if we slow down and we live in harmony. And one of the best ways to learn what harmony is to go out in the trail with your friends and say, hey, this line looks pretty cool. What if we could do that? What if we could throw a little drop there? What if we could put a little kicker here? What if we could do a gnarly technical line there? Build it, and then session with your friends and take care of all the rest of the land around it and kind of conserve and protect everything. You get, it's very hard to explain how this feels, but it is something that I would not trade for anything else. And the cool thing is that there's plenty of harmony to have. It's not like you, just be reassured, all you tree huggers out there, there's more open land and possibility out there than we could ever do with. So build a trail, get some harmony, it's sick. Number 4, you protect the future. I don't think I need to convince you guys, but if you build trails and you dig and you maintain them and you keep the cost low and protect the thing that we've already got, then it's not gonna go away as likely. Now, especially if we have trail networks, bike parks, things that need support, and you go out and you build on those, then it just keeps the momentum going, keeps the community going. It's a good thing, so do that. And speaking of community, that is the last benefit. You get to be a part of a community of people on a deeper level that doesn't just show up and ride and dip out. You get to be the one that people are like, dude, this trail is sick. And you're like, oh my gosh, I packed that roller. It's pretty awesome. So, you get to be a part of something that's bigger than you, and that's always awesome. So what do you do now? If you haven't contributed or know now that you need to contribute, you can join. You can join your local trail advocacy group. I really, really like local trail building groups. Those are the best places to go because they have build days, ride days together. It just kind of puts all those benefits into one place for you. You can donate. I have donated to some local bike parks, and for me, it's, I know how costly it is, and so anything I can do to donate, I always donate. You don't have to donate, but that is a great way to support. You can advocate. So getting in there and learning about trail building practices, and here's a big one. You guys do not realize how weird this is to the rest of the world. Like, when I say advocate, I say you need to go into ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm gonna go talk to a local city councilman. They don't even know, they think riding a bike is giving their kids a tricycle in the cul-de-sac. How do I explain to them mountain biking in a way where they see the benefits? Type that prompt into ChatGPT and tell it to dumb it down to 3rd grade level. This is not because bureaucrats are stupid, it's because this is a very foreign thing. You guys, mountain bikers, we don't realize how weird we are to the rest of the world. The rest of the world sees oh, some dirt, oh, a hill, and we're like, it is a sicker kicker, we could do a hip off of that and land sideways, blah, blah, blah. That is not normal. We are not normal. So you need to explain what this is in a way where people can understand, okay? So when I say advocate, tell people more about what it is we do and why we do it and how it benefits the community. If you need case studies, I actually think Velo Solutions has tons of video on local pump tracks. That is a great way. Just say, hey, this is a pump track. It's like a really tiny mountain bike trail in one place that helps the community. Look at that, and people will understand. So if I were to explain this to a so-called bureaucrat or someone who doesn't understand mountain biking and I'm trying to advocate, 100%, I would go in there and say, look, this is a Velo Solutions pump track. It's a professionally built miniature bike trail in one place. And guess what? They even put it in the middle of the city. They didn't even need a mountain. Now check this out. You have this great resource over here. You got a mountain with hills. We could build trails on it where you don't even need to put down a single piece of asphalt. You get the same benefits as this thing, and we could just go over there and build it. Does that sound like it would help the community in an amazing way? So we need to do a better job of explaining and showing what it is we do to people so we don't confuse them, because it's weird. Actually, that's something that could be cool for the community. Why don't we put together a resource and pool it together? I'll leave a comment on the top that you can link your best resource to why the community has been helped because of mountain biking, and just link stuff there, and I'll put it together into one big giant resource. And that way you guys can use it if you're gonna go out and educate your local school, your community, your people that don't understand this stuff. It could be a really great resource for them. So get out there, go on the trails. And again, if you wanna dive a little deeper, listen to my podcast episode with Cody Wilkins of Census Rad Trails. My name's Dave Davidson. I'm on a mission to solve the crash crisis, but on this episode, I wanted to talk about the actual trails that we hopefully are not gonna crash on. All right, have a good one.